Welcome to Big Feelings Lab. Today, I want to dive into that raw moment when someone you love is overwhelmed and all you want to do is fix it, you know?
Absolutely, Shul. It's that instinct to rescue, but sometimes it just compounds the pain.
So, let's start from the beginning. Can you share a time when you tried to help someone with big feelings and it completely backfired?
Definitely. There was this one time with my sister. She called me completely distraught after a breakup. I immediately said, "You'll be fine, you deserve better, and in 6 months you'll
Right.
forget all of this." But what happened was she went silent and then told me, "I didn't call you to fix my pain, I just needed you to be with me."
Wow, that must have been a heavy realization, knowing you were really trying to ease your own discomfort.
Exactly. I realized I was trying to fix my own unease about her hurt instead of truly listening to her.
That insight is so crucial. You know, most folks fall into what I like to call the unhelpful five. Would you walk us through that?
Sure. First, there's jumping straight into fixing things, like saying, "Have you tried therapy or meditation?" when right at that moment, all they need is someone to just acknowledge their pain. Second is
Mm.
minimizing their feelings. "It's not that bad," or "Others have it worse." Third is making everything about yourself, sharing your own story instead of holding space for them. Fourth, rushing them with, "You'll feel better tomorrow," which is toxic positivity. And finally, telling them to calm down, which can really backfire by implying their feelings are, well, wrong.
I completely agree. And neuroscientifically speaking, when someone's feeling is high, their ability to process solutions is practically offline. We, in a way, are trying to soothe our own nervous system by speeding up someone else's pain relief.
Absolutely. And when they sense that to be fixed because of your discomfort, it makes their emotional burden feel like it's a personal failure.
So the natural question is, how do we truly support someone without trying to, rescue them?
Well, that's where the pause method comes in. It's a framework. P for presence, A for attune, U for understand, S for sit with it, and E for empower. It's not about solving anything immediately, but about creating a space where feelings can be felt and processed safely.
Let's break that down. What does presence look like in practice?
Presence means putting down your distractions, turning fully toward that person, making eye contact, even if it's just a gentle nod that says, "I'm here." It's showing up both physically and emotionally.
Right.
You're saying, "I won't run from this discomfort."
And about attune, is that like mirroring their energy?
Exactly. Attune means matching their emotional state, not by absorbing their pain, but by sharing a regulated version of it. For instance, if they're crying, you don't need to cry, but your tone, your facial expression, even a soft shows that you feel what they feel.
But then comes understand, and that's all about validation, right?
Yes, it's all about saying, "I get it." Your feelings are completely valid given what you're going through. It doesn't mean you agree with every detail. It simply acknowledges that their pain is real and justified by their experience.
And then there's sit with it. I find this to be one of the toughest parts. How do you truly sit with someone's pain?
Sitting with it means resisting the urge to jump in and fix things and simply being there quietly, even if it's uncomfortable, allowing the person to fully express themselves without your mind trying to solve it prematurely. It's about offering a
Mm.
space where they can just be.
And finally, empower. That sounds like offering them control back, correct?
Right. Empower means after the storm has passed a bit, asking, "What do you need right now? How can I support you?" That shifts the control back to them rather than imposing solutions.
Now, let's get into some practical scenarios. Imagine someone comes home really upset, maybe a partner who had a terrible day at work. What's an unhelpful response versus a pause method response?
For the unhelpful response, you might say, "You should talk to HR or consider a new job," which is basically jumping to problem solving.
Right, and that ignores the immediate emotional flood.
Exactly. Instead, with pause, you would first show presence by being fully there, putting your phone aside. Then attune by letting your tone convey that you share their pain. Understand with something like, "That sounds absolutely humiliating. I can imagine how angry you must feel." Then simply sit with it, quietly letting them vent. And later, empower by asking, "Do you need some ideas or do you just want to talk more about it?"
That makes perfect sense. Now, What about when our supporting roles stretch us too thin, like with a friend who repeatedly calls about a toxic relationship? It can be really frustrating. How do you handle that without, losing your cool?
That's definitely a challenge. You first check in with yourself. If you're feeling overwhelmed, it's absolutely okay to say, I'm feeling a bit off right now. Can we talk in an hour? It's about self
Mm,
regulation. Then, if you're in a good headspace, you apply. Pause. Show up fully. Validate their repeated pain by acknowledging, I hear you, and I know this is so hard. And if your frustration flares, you gently remind yourself that you're not responsible for their choices.
I understand that, but sometimes it feels like by not fixing them, you're leaving them to struggle. Isn't that risky?
I get that concern, Shul, but actually, the risk is that if you try to fix them, it can lead to resentment on both sides. Instead, empowering them to find their own solutions gradually helps them build resilience. Even if it means they stumble a bit, it's their path to healing.
That respect for their agency is a game changer. Now, switching gears a bit, what about setting boundaries? Specifically, how do you care for yourself while supporting others?
Boundaries are non negotiable. You must know your own capacity. It might mean saying, I can listen for 30 minutes, but then I need a break. Or reminding them, I care deeply about you, but I also need to recharge so I can be here fully. This way, you prevent
Exactly.
compassion fatigue and preserve your own emotional well being.
And I've seen that often when we try to absorb someone else's pain, we end up blurring lines, where their feelings start feeling like ours. How do you avoid that?
It all comes down to emotional differentiation. That means recognizing that their anxiety or sadness is theirs and yours is separate. After supporting someone, take a brief transition pause, a walk, a shower, even some journaling to shake off any residual heaviness
Right.
that isn't yours. That helps maintain a healthy boundary between their emotions and yours.
Such a necessary reminder. Now, let's wrap up with something practical. What's the one major insight you're taking away today that you'd like to leave our listeners with?
For me, is that my role isn't to fix anyone's pain, it's to be with them in their pain. I'm learning that supporting someone is about creating a safe space where they can feel all their emotions fully. It's really about shifting from rescuing to simply standing by, validated and patient.
That's incredibly powerful, Sophia. And for our listeners out there, remember, it's not about quick fixes or silver bullet solutions. It's about slowing down, offering a steady presence, and letting your loved ones know, I see you, I feel you, and I'm here.
Absolutely. Each step, presence, attune, understand, sit, empower, builds a foundation of trust and resilience. These actions aren't just words, they're tools for deepening the bonds of love through authenticity.
And as we end today's episode, let's challenge ourselves for the next week. When someone you love is overcome by big feelings, try practicing the pause method. Give yourself permission to be present and let go of the need to fix everything immediately.
Yes, and remember, taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. You can only pour from a full cup, and supporting someone starts with supporting yourself too.
Before we wrap up, is there any final thought you'd like to share?
Just that if you're struggling with these moments, whether you're the one overwhelmed by emotion or the one trying to help, know that growth happens in the space between feelings and fixes. Embrace that space. Give yourself and others the grace to simply be.
Beautifully said. Thanks so much, Sophia, for opening up and offering such honest, practical insight on supporting without fixing.
Thank you, Shul. This conversation has been really reaffirming for me, and I hope it lights a path for our listeners too.
And to everyone listening, remember, love isn't measured by how quickly you can make the pain vanish, but by how gently you can be present with it. Until next time on Big Feelings Lab, take care of yourselves and each other.